are the major part of our life. It is important to have a skill because it determines our ability to execute our plan with success. Today, we have with us the CEO and founder of Skill Technologies. He holds more than 12 years of professional experience as a manager and leading consultant for strategy and operations in international consulting companies. He had been CEO at Quiz, CEO and founder at Saluse, and moreover, he also led a consulting project to develop more than 35 startups in Chile. Mr. Hermes Sepulveda, a very warm welcome to you.
Okay, perfect.
Tell us something about the startup and its uses and growth.
Okay. Uh, the startup, this is a company that was found here in Chile. The team is in Chile, and one of the co-founders is in the United States right now. And the the purpose, the core purpose of the company is just one single product or creating just one single product. This is not a software factory. It is just a company created for one purpose, and that purpose was Skill Icon. The Skill Icon is the first step uh, to for people to use it to create or to share and post videos related to activities related to sports, arts, and entertainment. And at the same time, it's a platform for people to rate the skills around those activities and skills. Okay. So that's the only purpose of this company is not a software factory. It's just a company focused on operate Skill Icon, the software, the first software or the first app, social media app to share and rate skills. Users, our users are just regular people as you, as me, as other people who usually use social media apps that are used to use social media apps, but in a regular basis, in a daily basis. Our users are people that share or want to share all their skills in different activities and also want to have or receive feedback from others. And at the same time, they want to validate their skills. It doesn't matter how good they are at doing some activities, they just want to share their skills. Some of our users share their skills because they want, it's just for entertainment. They want to show the world what they do and to show the world what their skills are and just for entertainment. But there are some others that share their skills because they want to be professionals in those skills or develop a career. Some of them also want to receive feedback to improve their skills. So we have very different or a very diverse uh, world of users, right? For different reasons, for different reasons, they share their skills, they validate the skills of others, and some of them wait for validation from other users. So what they have in common is, of course, they want to share their skills, and also they are open to feedback and they like to give feedback. So this is all about validation, right? Those are our users. In terms of growth, we're growing each week, I would say between 20 and 30%, more or less, every week. We've been in the market, we are enable the app since last days in June. And since then, we've been growing 20, 30% per week. So it's a good rate, a very good rate. And we are not doing a massive campaign. So it's a very good rate. Not yet. We will eventually do a massive campaign, but now we need to take care of our IT infrastructure too, right? Still don't have the right infrastructure to grow so fast, and need also be careful with that. At the same time, we are growing. So growth, but eventually growth will explode. growth will explode. We are testing virality. We are testing what's the best way to grow fast and accelerating. But eventually, anytime it will happen. Anytime it will happen. But we're growing in a very good rate, considering that we have a still. This is a new product. Nobody knows about it. We haven't done a massive campaign or international massive campaign, so good numbers of growth are really good, considering that uh, very we are spending very low budget, taking care of what I told you, the infrastructure, and also understanding better our users. When we have a complete understanding of our users, it will grow, it will explode, it will explode.
Sounds
That
really great. So moving on, what would be your inspiration to start this company and how the idea came to you?
it came like 15 years ago, more or less, when I was finishing college, when I was finishing the last semesters in the university, at my university. The idea came from when I was finishing last one of the last semesters, and I remember, Shuti, that I thought that I had a special understanding of market, special understanding of marketing. I remember my classmates. I don't know. I felt that I was in a different position in terms of understanding and skills for marketing. I remember that I watched people that maybe had 5, 6, or 8 years of experience, and they had the chance to be hired by very famous and large companies, right? And I remember that those guys that were hired by these huge companies didn't have the understanding that I had. And I thought, this is not fair. I know what's the problem of that company. I know how to make grow that product. I know what I read very well the market. I understand what the consumers, clients, or users are asking. I understand that, and I'm not receiving that opportunity. But the other guys with 5 or 8 years of experience had that opportunity. So at the end, in my understanding, life is a little bit, or was a little bit, unfair, because people are hired by their experience, by their titles, by their knowledge, and not by their skills. So by then, it was more than 50 years ago, Shuchi, I remember thinking I would create a system or something like that some point in the future, because by then I was 20. It was just a little boy, right? And I remember that by then I thought I would create a system in which people are selected or paid or hired by skills, not by titles, not by university titles, or even for knowledge. Because have knowledge doesn't mean you're skillful in something. It means you have knowledge, right? But it doesn't mean you have the skill to apply that knowledge for particular situations. So this is how it came. It was born more than 15 years ago, right? But then in 2011, the year 2011, when I was a professional, consolidated professional in consulting, I have a huge team of people working for me. I was working in a very well-known international consulting company, and I had the chance to talk with one of the managers, the regional managers of Bureau Veritas, right? This company which certificates all the companies, right, in process, in quality process, etc. And I remember talking to this person, and we were very close to create this business by then. But the problem in 2011 is that we didn't have the technology to make it that massive. And to be honest with you, Shudi, I didn't know. it was very far from my mind that social media apps was the solution, to be pretty honest, because by then I remember it was we had the BlackBerry. I don't know if you remember the BlackBerry, and that was really far from being a good social media or just a smartphone we usually do. So that was the last solution I would thought by then. So the project by then was extremely expensive, and we didn't have the technology to massify or to make it massive, right? So we decided to stop it, just pause it, and when we find the technology, we move forward. That was almost 10 years ago, okay?
Mhm.
And suddenly, Shuri, it's funny because it was on vacation. It was at the end of 2017, on vacation close to the beach in the Caribbean, right? And I remember it was like a Christmas. It was Christmas time, right? And talking to a cousin of mine, just drinking, taking some drinks, almost drunk. The idea came up suddenly from scratch. Like, you know what? That dream, that project that I had, I don't know, like 10 years ago, or by then 7 years ago, and that I was dreaming of 15 years ago, it could be solved by social media apps. There's no better way to democratize or to make them democratic the validation of skills on social media app. We don't need judges. We don't need institutions. We don't need anything. It's just the people themselves validating the skills of others. That's the way. So since then, I don't sleep.
That's really
I
nice.
don't sleep because since then, every night, every day, I'm thinking of this, of course. And it was on December 17,
Mhm.
20 days after that, when finishing my vacations, because my vacations were in Colombia. Then I traveled to Seattle, United States, to visit a cousin, part of my vacations. When the vacations finished, I mean, the week after the vacation finished, I hired someone to start working with me for this project. So the project itself started in in January 2018, 20 days after the idea came up. Because at the end, Shruti, the project existed. The project was created 15 years ago, and let's say more formal 7 years ago in 2011, right? We
Yeah.
just paused it. So at the end, this is this came up, and we started almost 3 years ago, uh, with this huge and beautiful and ambitious project startup.
Okay, Hermes, tell me about, like, what was the most critical initiative you had worked at the time of launching this company, and how you came out of that, like kind of solved that.
uh, Surely I would say that there wasn't a single initiative that was like that challenging. No, I would say that the challenge by then was working on a bunch of activities at the same time, and all of those activities had to be perfectly executed. I mean, I had to work with my shareholders, answering questioning, they pushing me a little bit, right? Talking to potential investors at the same time, explaining what social media app is.
Mhm.
uh, it's not that easy explaining it, because at the end, social media apps don't give you or don't give the world or users tangible products and services based on physical assets, right? Social media apps are not businesses related to basic uh, basic human needs. They don't give us food, they don't give us air, they don't give us transportation, right? They don't give us a home. So it's so hard to explain potential investors the value of social media, the future of social media, even the business social media are. Most of them don't know the amount of money that social media gather by posting or by advertising. Some of them even don't know that social media apps are some of the biggest businesses around the world, and they move so many people. So it's not that easy. So explaining all these things to the potential investors, talking to the shareholders, at the same time dealing with the IT problems, because I would say every week we have an IT problem always. Oh, the video is not uploading, the video is not charging. There's the screen is blocked, so we need to start to analyze why it is blocked. The IT guy do his part, but we need to test it as user to see if it's working. And all of these problems at the same time dealing with human resource of things, paying salary, dealing with contracts, analyzing contracts, talking to the lawyers, asking the lawyers for some advice, applying the advice from the lawyers, right? Uh, all of the things is a bunch of activities, and the activities itself, as you know, skill icon is a platform, right? Right, a social media platform about skills, but the skills have to come from something, right? The skills don't appear suddenly appear. We have to research the skills, we have to analyze the skills, we have to execute some interviews with experts on those skills and ask them some questions, right? So actually, it's a bunch of activities around skills, and we need to define the skills, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of time. Just one activity with 7 skills could take of my time 1 week. 1 week working every day, like, or working 4 hours per day for 1 week with a team of 2 people or 3 people behind researching those skills and analyzing those skills. So it's a challenging. Uh, I think that was the challenge. The challenge was dealing with 10 activities at the same time, and all of them has to be well done, because you cannot tell your shareholders fast responses or answers. You have to talk to them, spend time with them, explain them also with potential investors, also with your team in research and definition, skills definition, also with like the CISO, the IT leader, also with the IT, the CTO too in the United States, and explaining something. So it's a bunch of activities, Sherry. It's a bunch of activities. So the challenge is dealing with those at the same time, and prioritize. At the end, you have to prioritize every day. It's every day. I wake up and I have to think of, okay, I have to do, today I have to do 10 activities. What are the more critical and urgent activities? And every day is prioritizing those activities. That's the challenge every day. And that was a challenge every day. So how did I deal with that? Just prioritizing. If I don't have this money, what will happen? Or if I don't have this functionality working, what will happen? If and why if the shareholder, if I don't answer the question of the shareholder, what will happen? It's like a game of decisions every day. That was the challenge. And my strategy was just prioritizing, always.
Thomas, tell us about the functionalities and innovation, how you drive these and implement in your application.
First of all, implementing the innovation is just a little bit easy, because the IT guy is a monster. He's really someone very smart. Always that is in my mind. I don't know how, but he is able to put this in the software. So he is incredible, incredible. So by implementation, but talking about implementation is not a problem, not yet. Okay, For the future, maybe, but not yet. And in terms of innovation, how driving innovation, in general, I would say, should it my my food, let's say for innovation, is users. It's users. It's just listening to users, and listening doesn't it doesn't mean only listening to what they say. It's also listening their behavior. What's their behavior? And understanding their behavior. What are they doing? What they're doing? Why are they clicking on it, or why they want to click on it, or why they want to post a video? Why they want to share a skill, etc. So it's understanding. Is listening to users. Users are my food for innovation. Users are my feedback for innovation. It's all about users. So I have to say something, Shuri, and it is that we are not in love with the app. I'm not in love with the app. It's just a product. I'm in love with the need. I'm in love with the need we're satisfying. So the product is just a product. It's key icon is just a name. It could change. The product itself also could change. So at the end, Shuri, it's listening to users. I will do whatever I need to do. I will innovate what I need to innovate. I will pivot what I will have to pivot, and just chasing the satisfaction, the user satisfaction. I want my users to be happy. I want them to be happy. I want them sharing their skills like crazy people. I want them evaluate and rate other people like crazy people. And I will innovate, and I will do whatever I need to do to create or to satisfy those users. So this is my food. My innovation comes from users. That's
Okay,
how. Okay.
okay. Could you tell us about, the most important thing you're working on right now and how you're making that happen?
Right now,
Yeah.
right now, a bunch of things. Like I told you, like I don't know about 10, 20 activities at the same time. However, there are two uh, critical things that right now uh, are critical for the skill icon. The first one is understanding uh, the behavior of users to explode the virality. That's one line. That's one line. One of the challenges right now. And the other one is uh, capturing investment, enough investment to go to the next level. And the next level is making massive, but it's not making massive. It's making massive with the right IT infrastructure. Because if you make it massive, suddenly massive, and you don't have the infrastructure, it won't work. So those are the core, the two core activities right now. How are we solving that? In terms of the user virality testing, we are just testing. That's where the Himesh, right, our digital expert or digital leader in India, is doing a great job. We're always discussing and trying alternatives. It's just testing. We're all the time testing channels, testing media, testing messages, testing functionalities. I would say that every week we are creating or adding small functionalities, small features in the app to see how that new feature impact the user's behavior. So we're all the time testing. This is how we're doing. That's the reality of a startup. It's just testing, right? So testing is the way we have, and testing also includes, of course, analysis, analytics, right? So testing is the way we're dealing with this potential challenge of the user virality, right? And the second one that is achieving the right investing level is just networking. It's talking with all your connections, all my connections, uh, and talking. Every day I have a meeting with someone. Every day I have a meeting with one or two people, talking about investment, talking about the project, shareholders, potential investors, and it's just talking. You never stop talking. You need to knock as many doors as possible. You cannot be shy in this. You need to knock too many doors. It doesn't matter if 90% of those doors are closed. You need to knock them, still knock them, to see which of those doors will be open. Is part of this. It's just knocking too many doors. And of course, with the help of shareholders and your connections, your networking of contacts, right? It's just part of that. Those are the critical lines of work right now, let's say.
Okay, Hermes, tell me about your team members. Like, take me through the top team members and their specialities. What are they good at?
First of all, they are crazy. I don't know why they are working in a company that is not delivering a product or service for first need in human being, for, as I told you, for transportation, for uh, food or restaurants or regular retailers, right? So first of all, they are crazy. I think they are as crazy as I am. Uh, but crazy means when you are crazy, it also makes you different.
In a good way. Crazy in a
Crazy,
good way.
yes, crazy people has different skills too, right?
Yeah.
Crazy people are not regular people. So that said, uh, first of all, we have the CTO, his uh, technology uh, strategic machine. This guy is really the guy that guide us and tell us that won't work. Don't spend that much money. To give you an example, I remember everybody said, Hermes, you have to develop your app in native language. Use the iOS language for iOS. Use the Apple or the Android language for Android. Don't use hybrid language. That's what everybody said, right? And he said, forget about that. And he gave us like 10 reasons why, sorry, he gave us like 10 reasons why we shouldn't go that way. And he had discussions with other 10 experts around the world discussing that. And the reasons he told us is a machine. So that guy is the head of technology. He is skillful in strategy for his technology. He's a machine for that. But the other side, we have Caesar, who is the development guy, another crazy guy that makes the things happen. I don't know how, but he makes the things happen. In fact, he created the app himself, just one person, in 3 months. And I will
Great.
tell you something, Shuri, really. I tell you something, Shuri. We started work creating and developing this app with we hired a company. It was one of the most famous companies in development, right, in Chile. We hired them, we worked with them, and in 8 months, they created 50% of what we have right now. In fact, 20%. And Cesar, then we fired that company. They had some problems because of the pandemic, because because in Chile there was a social problem, so things go didn't go as well as we thought has or had to be. So we stopped working with them, and we looked for a headhunter, and told the headhunter we need the best IT guy. And this headhunter found Cesar. And Cesar create this machine, this app, in 3 months, and he himself alone. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a machine. He makes that things happen, right? Of course, he received help from some other guys, some freelancers that help us with design, some others with the front end, developing some features, very small features from, but not because Cesar couldn't do that. It's because Cesar didn't have the time. He was working like 15 hours, 16, 18 hours a day from Monday to Monday. So just running. I remember he eating at the same time, and he was working. So, and he has children and a wife. I don't know how he deal with
That's
that
the real dedication, actually.
exactly. So I think his children forgot him because because like 3 months working for Skill Icon without no rest, without no vacation. I don't know if I think his wife hates us, to be honest, because he's been working for a Skill Icon and without stopping. He's a machine, but I'm also a machine. He's a crazy and very talented machine because he makes things happen. I don't know how, but he makes things happen by himself without no help. And anything he doesn't know, he starts to analyze and research. So that's another machine. And of course, we have Jimenez. That's another crazy guy, very passionate guy. What we were very lucky to meet Jimenez because it's Jimenez. I would say that his crazy ability is that he is the alternative guy. He's always thinking of alternatives. In the digital world, he's always thinking alternatives, and he knows like about everything. Maybe he is not the expert on each of these things in digital, but he knows everything about digital world. So it's always presenting us alternatives. It's always discussing alternatives. So as you see, Shuti, it's a very good team, right? It's a very good team. That the good news is that behind, and of course there are more people, right? I'm talking about only 3 guys, but
Mm.
like 10 guys, great lawyers advising us, supporting us, other shareholders that are all the time giving us ideas, discussing about the app, about how to deal with some of the problems, about finance. My brother, who is one of the investors, is a finance machine too. He is always uh, helping us to put the feet on the floor, to put the feet on the ground, and saying, "Hey, that's impossible to achieve with this money. You need to do other things. You have to cut that cost us." My brother asked me, demanded, in fact, demanded that I have to cut like 30% of costs when the pandemic started. I didn't want. I have to hire. I have to fire people too. That was painful for me, but I had to do that. So it was all about my brother, who is the finance guy behind, right? So it's a team, it's a whole team, right? But of course, these 3 guys that I mentioned to you are the crazy guys.
Crazy dedicated team, right?
Crazy, dedicated team, exactly. Exactly. Very dedicated team.
Okay, Hermes, what's the hardest decision you have made so far for the company?
The hardest. The tough one, I would say firing people, because I would say that each each person that has come here and worked with us has put 100% of his energy or her energy, and even more. So fire someone is something that you have to deal with, that I don't like, to be honest, because these people has been very good people, professional people, and even one of them was a cousin of mine. So taking that decision with someone who is very close to you is like your friend. It's not that easy. Talking to him and saying it's not working, you are giving your 120% of your energy and your time, but it's not working. We need other skills. So firing people, it's, I would say this is the tough decision, especially when you have kind of friendship with the person, or you admire the person, or is close to you, and more if that person has been very professional. Saying that person that being very professional is not good enough for this, it's really hard. Uh, but we need the best. We need this is startup. This is not a company operating with sales that can deal with people who is not committed 100% or with that have not all the skills we need. This is a startup. If there's a guy who is not 100% committed, or is not, or has not the skills for this job, or has not the passions for this job, is unfortunately that person cannot work here, right? Because it impacts the whole team. It's not just impacting one thing or one task, it's impacting the whole team. So that, I would say that that is the most difficult, is firing people and dealing with people at the end, right? I used to work with, I didn't used to work, for example, another thing is I didn't used to work with millennials or even centennials, right? I used to work with people that were more consolidated professionals in their fields before I start this. I used to work in consulting, and I didn't have the chance to work with very young people. And for first time I have to do this in this project, and it's really hard because uh, every conversation with them is a negotiation. It's a negotiation. So it was really hard. It was really hard too. But at the end, I have to learn how to deal with it. And it's negotiation. It's all the time negotiation. It's not like I used to do in the past that I was the leader. There were some consolidated professionals. They understood very well and fast what my goal was, how to go or chase for an objective, and how to achieve a goal, or etc. Right? I just talked to them and they understood very easily, but not with very young people. And so I need to deal with it, learn how to negotiate every day, every minute, even for small things. And they get frustrated very easily. So I have to be very careful with that, with frustration. So dealing with frustration, negotiation with the team, and firing people were the challenges, have been the challenges in management for this startup.
Miss, every company, or I must say startup, has a risk factor. So what is the biggest risk facing your company?
The biggest risk, definitely, uh, not having the right investment for the right moment when it explodes, or when we are finding the virality trigger. That's the biggest risk. Because if suddenly we find it, or if we need more blood, let's say, or oxygen or air, it means money, right? If we need more money for more research, for more understanding of the virality factor, and still that don't have the money, or if we found or we find that virality trigger and have not the money to spend in the infrastructure, in the IT infrastructure, that's the risk. Because of course it will cause problems, right? It, even it will have to like stop it a little bit till getting the money. So we have to be very aligned. It has to be a great combination: money and progress, money and growth. If growth is too high and we don't have the money to cover that growth, that's a problem. Of course, that's a problem. But it's the opposite too. If we have too much money, but we are not understanding the trigger for virality, that's another problem too. So
Yeah,
it has to
it should be
be
like parallel. Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
So my last question would be, what is the, what you love most about your company?
What I love most
Best
about my
part of
company,
your job, your startup?
I would say that it demands the best of me. I would say that it demands the best of me. And something that I also love is that, and I could also put the best of me when I was working in consulting, shooting.
Mhm.
I couldn't give the best of me because there are too many political issues, constraints, interests. I had too many bosses. In consulting, I had like it was my boss, my direct boss, then the boss from the other area. My customer has three. My customer was or were three bosses at the same time. If I had to deal with three people for three areas, different areas, so I have a bunch of bosses. I have to deal with my team that at the same time are kind of bosses too, and and I have a lot of constraints that limited my capacity of giving my 100%. What does it mean? I am someone who is crazy for making your customer be happy. And I couldn't give my 100% for making my customer happy. Uh, I cannot tell you details, but in general terms, there are too many restrictions, too many constraints for making your customer happy. This project lets me give my 100% to make my users happy. I have no constraints. Money is not a constraint to make my users happy. So I would say that, and that's something that I have to deal with my whole life. Always I was fighting with my boss, my direct boss, and my customer boss too. Because sometimes my customer was asking me something that was not the best solution for him. That's crazy. But I have to deal with that by then too. And I have to fight. And I told them, hey, this is not the best solution. Do you want to increase sales? Do you want to make some savings? This is what you're asking me is not the best solution. No, no, don't worry. I know, but etc. This is just a partial or a solution for a moment. It won't solve the problem. No, no problem, etc. So that was something I had to deal for more than 12 years in consulting. And now I can do whatever I want to make my customer, my users happy, and I will. And I'm doing it. So I would say that that's what I love the most of my job is that I can give my 100% to make my customers and users happy. I would say that that's what I love of this, and I want this for forever. I want to do this forever, and even beyond death. I will die. I will still want to do this beyond death, if it's possible.
Thank you so much, Hermes. It was lovely talking to you.
Okay, Shooty. It was very nice talking to you.